The Beaufort County Sheriff's Office. The reason we're here today is because we know that we have a large part of our population in Beaufort County that do not use social media and do not have the opportunity or the access to look at a lot of different web pages and seek a lot of information about COVID-19. We're here today. We've got a limited group of folks that are going to be addressing the media today. We're trying to keep everyone, at a safe distance. So bringing too many people in this room would not be the right thing to do. We're trying to practice what we've been preaching for the past several days or a week, and we'll continue doing that. So I wanted to have an opportunity to reach out to our citizens who routinely watch the 5 o'clock and the 5:30 news, and we appreciate what y'all do in helping keep our citizens informed. I've also reached out to the mayor of Hilton Head, Bluffton, Beaufort, and Port Royal, and asked that they send to me things that they want me to address during this press event, and that way they can stay in their towns and cities and make sure that things are going well there, and also reduces the size of the group that we have here today. But with us today, and we'll give them plenty of opportunity to address their disciplines and answer whatever questions you may have. We've got a good bit that we're going to cover today, so if we can hold a lot of the questions to the end, then we can flow through this pretty good. First, I want to ask Ashley Jacobs, the county administrator, to come up and talk about things that are occurring, have occurred, are occurring, and will be occurring in the county of Beaufort from the county perspective. Ashley.
Good afternoon. Ashley Jacobs, Beaufort County Administrator. County buildings are currently open to the public, and we are working normal business hours. However, some offices are closed through at least March 31st. Convenience sites are open. The Hilton Head and Ladies Island airports are open. Libraries are closed. Parks and recreation, programming, gyms, and pools are closed. However, our passive parks are open. The animal shelter is closed. In accordance with Governor McMaster's order, public visitation at the detention center is suspended until further notice. All courts are holding emergency hearings only except for bond court. For information about other offices and services, please visit the Beaufort County website. We have as many employees as possible working virtually, and we are trying to conduct all business by phone or email or online to reduce the amount of face-to-face contact and eliminate the possibility of infection. County Council will hold executive committee and county council meetings as scheduled on Monday, March 23rd. The meetings will be closed to the public, but will be broadcast on County Channel and Facebook Live. And the public may submit comments through Facebook or by contacting their clerk to council. Council will take up an ordinance on Monday that establishes protocols for virtual meetings, and I anticipate that they will hold virtual meetings after Monday for some time. The Beaufort and Hilton Head Bluffton Chambers of Commerce have put together a list of local eating establishments that are providing curbside and pickup service, so please visit those websites and support our local restaurants. Also, the South Carolina Small Business Administration is accepting applications for their Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. The SBA will provide targeted low-interest loans to small businesses and nonprofits that have been severely impacted by the coronavirus. South Carolina does not have authorization yet, but they anticipate having authorization today. And you can go ahead and register online and submit applications. Thank you.
Superintendent, Beaufort County School District, Frank Rodriguez.
Thank you, Sheriff, and good afternoon, everyone. I want to share with you a little bit about what's been going on within the school district to support our students throughout this time. Last Friday, when our students left home, they were all fully expecting to come back on Monday, as were our teachers, as you all know. As a result of the governor's order on Sunday, schools were closed effective immediately until March 31st. And so we have been preparing in the event of something like this. And so fortunately for us, our students and teachers are already accustomed to using online learning. It's part of way we deliver instruction at times as it is. And so that facilitated a lot of our transition. Our teachers had been prepared with several weeks of lesson plans to support students. And we've distributed paper-based learning packets for our very young children, K-2, as well as for students who may not have internet access. On Sunday night, I had an opportunity to engage Hargray, and Hargray was very supportive in terms of gaining internet access for those students who don't have it currently. And so they have put out a plan. It's also listed on our school website that provides internet access for students and families who don't have it as of now. And so they have an opportunity to get that. Additionally, our school district has been working to continue to support the students that we serve, and any students, any child for that matter, up to the age of 18 within Beaufort County through the meals that we have been providing. As of Wednesday, we had distributed over 8,000 meals across our county on Wednesday. We added bus routes on Tuesday and Wednesday, and that's been successful in helping our students get the meals that many of them depend on or count on. Additionally, I want to take a moment and thank the Sheriff's Office. I want to thank Bluffton Police Department, Port Royal Police Department, and Beaufort Police Department for the support that they provide us as we distribute meals at our distribution sites. We have 12 distribution sites at our school centers across the county, as well as the routes that we have implemented. And I'm extremely proud, I'll leave you with this, I'm extremely proud of our staff throughout the entire system for their hard work and in the manner in which we have prepared and the manner in which we are continuing to deliver academic instruction to students, as well as taking care of the needs such as meals. Thank you very much.
Director of Beaufort County EMS, Donna Owenby.
Good afternoon. First and foremost, I just want to assure every citizen in Beaufort County that EMS is well prepared to handle the COVID-19 crisis. We have been training all year round. We do this with everyday patient care with the idea that anybody could infect you with something, so everybody's conscious and everybody's trained. The process seems to be that when a dispatch screens all calls, they will do a screening, and if they get a positive screening, what happens is the dispatcher will notify EMS, and in that fact, we will don PPE. And for us, PPE could be mask, gown, gloves. We have Tyvek suits and goggles. So they go, before they even leave the station, they will put that on. In the meantime, dispatch will notify the family that EMS will be arriving in these suits, so they're not surprised. When they arrive at the house, EMS will go inside and they will assess the patient. They will assess the patient and decide with the medical control online at the hospital, along with the patient and us, as to the disposition that we're going to use for this patient, whether it be staying home, being transported to hospital, or any designation that the hospital feels is the best place for them to go. Once that we transport the patient, we get to the hospital, EMS transfers the patient care over to the hospital or to wherever they designate as where it's supposed to go, and then we will decontaminate the ambulance, and our staff knows how to doff off all their equipment and put it for security, and then we'll be ready for the next call. We have enough PPE, we're comfortable with that. We want to make sure every patient is taken care of, and we even put them in the ambulance if it's feasible, because some medical conditions might not make it. We put a surgical mask on that patient as well. I think this is going to be a safe, and we use this to try and flatten the curve, and what we want you to do is follow CDC and DHEC regulations, and you can go to their site to find everything they tell you to do. And that means limit social gathering, stay far away from each other, at least 6 feet, no handshaking. If you're sick, please stay home. If your children are sick, do not send them out. It's very important for us, the best way for us to contain this illness. Okay?
In Beaufort County Fire Chief from Ladies Island, who is speaking on behalf of the fire chiefs in Beaufort County, Bruce Klein. Chief.
Thank you, Sheriff. Good afternoon. First, I'd like to tell you that Beaufort County's Fire Service has been meeting for the last several days coordinating our efforts. We are following CDC and DHEC guidelines in everything that we do. These guidelines have helped us with proper personal protective equipment, PPE, as Donna spoke, requirements for response, and requirements for decontamination once we have come in contact with a patient. So to speak, we are all on the same sheet of music when it comes to the fire service of Beaufort County. Our focus has been how do we best serve our citizens in the time of this crisis? Our priority has been minimizing the exposure of the firefighters and exposure to the citizens. We want to encourage everyone in Beaufort County to please follow the guidelines that have been published. Don't leave your home unless you absolutely have to. Wash your hands frequently for a minimum of 20 seconds. Last I'd like to tell you is your fire service is ready. We are prepared. We have the appropriate equipment, and we've made requests for additional equipment. And if you have any questions, please reach out to your local fire department for those answers. Sheriff?
And Colonel Neil Baxley, Beaufort County Sheriff's Office, Emergency Management.
Good afternoon, everyone. Donna referred to dispatch screening. This is something that we implemented in the 911 Center last Thursday, March the 12th. We asked 2 questions of every caller when they ring into 911, additional questions from what we start out with, where is your emergency and what is your emergency. We then asked the callers, if they have a fever or a cough, and we asked them if they have traveled to an area with known COVID-19 exposures or if they have had contact with a person who has had COVID-19 in the past 2 weeks. Based on those answers, we then advise the responders of what the answers, if it's a positive to both of them, yes, they've traveled, or yes, they have had contact, we notify the responders so that they can prepare for that. I would encourage everyone to understand that your answers, we're looking obviously for good, truthful answers, but it's not going to affect the level of response. It's going to affect how the responders prepare themselves. So telling us yes or no is not going to make the ambulance or the fire truck or the law enforcement officer get there any faster or any slower. We're still coming the same way we always respond to you, but we're coming with a little bit different level of preparedness. We also, and based on these responses to the questions, if the caller is only calling because of a concern of COVID-19 and not necessarily needing an ambulance and a fire truck for some other medical issue, we are referring them to either the DHEC virtual health network, which you can find those links on the DHEC website. We're referring them to the DHEC hotline, or referring them to their primary care physician. Because if it's just the COVID-19, that's the route you're going to need to take anyway to get the testing and the follow-ons. But if you're having some other medical issue, obviously we're coming. But we have diverted several calls over the last couple of days when it was determined that that was the information the folks needed, and so we diverted them in that direction, and we did not have to send responders and tie them up dealing with a call that they weren't going to transport, or most likely anyway. We implemented that last Thursday on the 12th, and so far it's been working very well for us, and we are well prepared for this. We're monitoring our staff carefully, obviously because we're out in the public connecting with people every day to make sure that we keep our folks as healthy as possible.
As I said earlier, we ask the mayors to provide us with some information they would like for us to provide during this press conference. So I'm going to go through a couple of these. Actually, I'm going to go through all of them. I won't be able to answer any questions for you, but we have folks here that can definitely get answers. Mayor Moore, Yamasee, wants everyone to know that the town's spring fling event on Saturday, April 11th has been canceled, and that they are temporarily suspending rentals of the community center. And if you've made contact or a contract, if you will, with the town of Yamasee, with the community center, they'll work on issuing refunds. Town parks remain open, and we encourage you to take advantage of them while practicing social distancing. Town staff remains available to help citizens with any need that arises, and they encourage contacting the town by phone or email, and they were able to resolve most issues in the town of Yamasee. The town of Port Royal, from Mayor Joe DeVito, wants everyone to know that the town of Port Royal offices remain open, but they are encouraging citizens to contact the office at 843-986-2200 for the directory of services instead of appearing in person. All town parks, including the sands, are still open for use. Town staff is routinely sanitizing playground equipment. They also encourage, if you go and use any of the equipment, to sanitize as well yourself, the equipment and yourself before and after use, and make sure that you wash your hands afterwards. We also want to stress the importance of social distancing, and you'll hear that a lot today while using the parks. Town council meetings in the town of Port Royal will be conducted on a regular schedule, and accommodations will be made to ensure that there are opportunities for public input and comment. However, due to a state mandated limitations on group gatherings, in-person attendance will be prohibited. You can also reach, or if you have any questions with the town of Port Royal, with Mayor DeVito, you can go to www.portroyal.org. The town of Bluffton. Town of Bluffton is open for business. This is a message from Mayor Salka. They have customers are strongly encouraged to conduct business via email or phone if possible. Call main number at 843-706-4500 for further direction if needed. Court remains closed. Be responsible and have a mindset of infection control. Town parks and restrooms are open. Restrooms are being cleaned several times a day, but it also are asking to do your part in cleaning the parks and everything clean, keeping them clean. The town of Bluffton is doing its best to support the community, and we need the community's help, so listen to the CDC guidelines. Bluffton police officers continue to perform full service duties. Mayor Salka is producing a daily message to the community. Residents can read this on the town's social media web pages. In an effort to support the Bluffton business community, the town will place a map online on the town's website for nonprofit helping agencies and other businesses. The town is helping to get the word out on the Hilton Head Island Chamber of Commerce Take Out Blitz, and we're going to talk about that a little bit when we go to the town of Hilton Head's comments as well. That's a web page which lists restaurants in the Hilton Head Bluffton area that are open for takeout and curbside delivery service. The page can be found at www.hiltonheadisland.org Takeout Blitz. Town of Hilton Head from Mayor McCann. Of course, the mayor is concerned about the population on Hilton Head because some of the population that lives on Hilton Head kind of meets that criteria that we've all been talking about when we talk about COVID-19. He wants to reinforce the steps that people can take to minimize the chances of catching the disease. This includes adhering to the social distancing recommendations to the greatest extent possible. So not only do you take the 6 feet, but when possible, extend it even more than that. The Town of Hilton Head Chamber of Commerce has created a web page that identifies all the different restaurants in the area that are open and continue to provide carry-out, curbside, take-home meal services through their Takeout Blitz. We encourage people to take advantage of these opportunities for both themselves and local businesses. Continue to care for each other. Food pantries, donations must be maintained. Take time to look at those opportunities so that we can continue to care for each other as we continue to care for ourselves. Talking points on that, again, breaking it down, limit your gatherings in groups, small groups or 10 or less. We would like for you to consider less than 10. Support your local businesses and support your neighbors and local nonprofit organizations. That is from the mayors of Hilton Head, Bluffton, Yamasee, and Port Royal. Beaufort had a press conference. I think y'all were there at 11, so I'm sure they covered all of their concerns, and they handled that at 11 o'clock. One of the things that's been talked about, and we've probably had more than one question about the closing of restaurants here since, all through yesterday and today. To facilitate social distancing, restaurants and bars can no longer provide sit-in dining. That includes indoors and outdoors. So it applies to both indoor and outdoor. The governor is encouraging all affected facilities to provide takeout, drive-through, or delivery service. Patrons may come into the facility and place orders. However, to promote social distancing, we're encouraging that orders be taken via phone, online, or at a service window. So again, it goes back to, and this is bars, this is food and beverage, this is bars and restaurants. No indoor consumption of alcohol or anything else, nor indoor or outdoor dining. Even though a person may go into a restaurant and place an order, we would ask them to go place the order and go back outside and wait. You'll be notified when your order is ready. You go back in and pick it up and you leave. If you can have delivery, if you can use a curbside service, in some situations that works out good, or you just phone it in and then pick it up at that point. That food service restrictions is covered in the governor's executive order, which is 2020-10, and there is an enforcement element to that. So we encourage all of our bars and restaurants in the county to work with us and make sure that we don't have any violations of this order when it comes to our restaurants and our bars. We did have in Beaufort, Bluffton, and Hilton Head last night, we had some licensed locations that we either unfamiliar with the executive order or just wanted to test it to see if we were going to check it. We checked several, they all complied, so we're looking for voluntary compliance. I think at this point we have it, but we'll continue to look at that as a potential problem and deal with it when it comes up. Let me see. We all know, and the superintendent, he touched on this, children are home. So with children home, that creates another challenge for our parents and our caregivers at home. So this is an unordinary time. This is a very strenuous time. This is it could have emotional attachments to it. People are going through some tough times. This is unlike a hurricane. At least with a hurricane, we we can plan on when the storm is going to be at our front door, and we kind of know how long it's going to be with us before it goes elsewhere. This is another scenario. This is one that we've never confronted before. So it every day kind of throws either a different curveball at you or a different challenge. We're still, I know Neil, we keep tabs on the known COVID-19 cases that we have in the county. That number could change at any time. The more testing, and I think you probably have heard this time after time, the more testing is done, the more active hits we'll probably get. But I tell you, in my travels through the county, the conference calls that I've been on over the last week, and in working with all of you that are here today, I've honestly seen an unbelievable effort on our citizens to do their part to make sure that Beaufort County, wears through this like I know we can. Beaufort County has been through a lot of hurricanes. We can talk about hurricanes back many years ago or just the past couple of years, and I'm gonna tell you, we weathered the storm then, and I know we'll weather the storm now. It's just a different challenge that we're facing. The food service restrictions, those are things that they'll work on as we go through, but while your children are at home and you're practicing social distancing, we like for you to stay in groups of 10 or smaller, preferred, somewhere around 3 or 4. Once you take the opportunity, and I spoke to a doctor with DHEC this morning on the phone before our conference call, and I said, we need to encourage more people to go fishing. It's a work week, so asking you to go fishing during the work week is a little bit different. But take an opportunity to go fishing, take your children fishing with you, take a walk on the beach. Get a little peace of mind, relax, get out. It's difficult, I know, to stay at home all day for a period of unknown time. you know, with family and children being in the house. But take opportunities, go fishing, walk on the beach, go play golf, go play tennis, do some yard work, do some spring cleaning at home. Take the opportunity right now to do a lot of things that you've been putting off for a long time. We're in spring now, and there are a lot of things that you can do around your house, and also include your family and spend a lot of family time doing good outside healthy things. Again, please practice social distancing in everything that we do, and treat every surface that we handle. And I've been on guard here at the sheriff's office. I've been telling people, don't put your hand in your face again. I just saw you. I just saw you do this. I just saw you do that. But treat every surface, every doorknob, every gas pump handle, every countertop, every shopping cart, currency, and all those things like somebody had just sneezed on it. And picture that in your mind. A lot of people, if they were to see blood on a handle or something, they would walk away with their hands up saying, I'm not touching that, that's gross. Well, if you will teach or treat every surface like this that you come in contact with, if somebody just sneezed on it before you got there, you will be extremely guarded in how you handle that. Go wash your hands at no time, unless you had just completed washing your hands for over 20 seconds. Don't touch your face. Don't touch your eyes, don't touch your nose, and don't touch your mouth at no time. And it's a difficult time not to do that, because Donna and I were talking yesterday, you know, not only do you have the COVID-19, that's a fear, but you have influenza, the flu, and you have the common cold, and guess what else we're dealing with? Sinus, allergy, and plenty of pollen. So all these things are a huge challenge, but you have to be conscious of doing certain things and not doing certain things. But please keep your hands away from your eyes, nose, and mouth, because that is the main contact that people not only catch COVID-19, but the flu. From a law enforcement standpoint, and I'll open this up for questions, I want everyone to know that your law enforcement partners in Beaufort County, I spoke to them on the phone about an hour ago to make sure that if they needed anything or if there's anything they wanted me to bring forward at 2. But in speaking with the chief, Chris Chapman in Bluffton, and Matt Clancy and Allen Beach, and Chief Alexander in Yamasee, they want the citizens of Beaufort County to know that we are in full service. We're here, we're 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We are fully deployed and prepared to handle whatever comes our way. Please follow all the safety instructions that not only that we give out here, that Major Bromage gives out on Nixle and our social media pages, and all the municipalities give out. But there's a lot of people watching nightly news like your news that are here today, as well as Fox News and MSCB or CBS or some of these other channels out there. But again, please limit yourself to very small groups of people. And we're here ready to provide whatever service we can. I know that that the county administrator said the jail was not accepting visitors for inmates, but the jail is open for business. And so if we need to use the jail, we will be using the jail. And bond hearings are allowed, so we'll continue doing the job that we do. And having said that, I'll open up for whatever questions you may have, and these folks are here, so questions?
I don't know who can answer this, but we've heard viewers have noticed 2 cruise ships within the past week docking here, but we don't know if anybody came off of those cruise ships.
And I know that was a question that Ashley had, and I think, Neil, you were working on that?
Yes, sir.
Come on.
The ship that's tied up down at the waterfront park is empty. They had no docking space in Charleston because they don't have a permanent slip up there. So when they discharged their passengers after their last scheduled cruise, they had nowhere to go. So they brought it to Beaufort and tied it up here because they're used to tying up here. It did not discharge any passengers, and all of those scheduled cruises have been suspended pending the end of this crisis.
Sheriff, to Dana, you said that there's an enforcement element of the governor's orders. If a restaurant doesn't comply with the governor's orders, what's the enforcement for that?
Well, I mean, it's under Section Code 16-7-10 in our South Carolina code, and I'll give you an example. Last night we had a few restaurants in the county that claimed they did not know the restrictions. Of course we have body cameras. We went in and interviewed the managers or owners that were there on video and issued a warning summons for being open. Explained the governor's order to them, and also explained to them that if they continued to be in violation of that order, then they would be ticketed appropriately. We didn't write any tickets last night other than warning tickets, and those that were open closed shortly thereafter. So again, we're not asking restaurants to close, and the governor's not asking restaurants to close. He's just asking that we have no indoor or outdoor dining or consumption. We still want them to be open. We still want takeout, pickup, and delivery service available, but we just can't take the chance of having that many people inside of a restaurant, indoors or outdoors.
I know there are a lot of people that aren't quite taking the quarantine suggestion or self-isolation suggestion as seriously as maybe they should be. A lot of people are still out there living normal life. What do you want people in Beaufort to know about the importance of taking these considerations?
Well, you know, we have a saying that you're either part of the problem or you're part of the solution. You know, and I know it's difficult, and there are a lot of armchair quarterbacks, you know, out there that are looking at this and saying this, you know, I don't know what the big deal is. This is, you know, the flu's worse. And there may be a lot of truth to a lot of different comments that are made. But this is a world event. This is not just a hurricane event that's looking at the coast of South Carolina that passed through Florida and Georgia with not a lot of damage, and then gets to South Carolina. We kind of don't know what's going to happen. This is a world event. It's impacting the entire United States. We all have to do our part. If we want this, and these conditions and the requests that are being made by not only the President of the United States, but the Governor of South Carolina and Ashley Jacobs and everyone else in Beaufort County and your mayors, if we want this to get better, we have to do our part. So you're either part of the problem or part of the solution, and we're asking people to be part of the solution. I know it's difficult. It's a difficult time for everyone. There's no question about that. But I think I think the opportunity for us to really get behind what we know is the right thing to do. Clean every surface. And when I talked about earlier, every surface, wash your hands till you're tired of washing your hands. Use the sanitary, things that is provided to you, and hand sanitizer and everything else. And do that on a regular basis until you're tired of it. And I tell you, if we'll treat this that way, then we may get through this a little quicker. And all these things that we're asking you to do now, maybe something that we can just remember of things that we did. But this will help in controlling the common cold, the common flu, and a lot of other things, bacteria and viral things that we deal with. This is something that has to be done. So we're asking people to be part of the solution. Questions?
Have you asked DHEC for more information on the positive Beaufort County cases? Like location-wise?
About every hour.
Do we have any idea though? There's a big difference saying Beaufort County and Hilton Head versus Beaufort or Burton. There's a big difference. Do we have any idea where?
I completely agree with you. And we would love to have more information about those cases. The problem is we're not getting that information, and there are reasons why we're not getting it. But DHEC claims that they're on top of it, and they can follow up on those cases and provide more information when that information is needed. But we, of course, we are asking as first responders, especially with fire, EMS, and law enforcement, those things we need to know. We're entrusted with a lot of information on a day-to-day basis that our citizens have faith in us dealing with and controlling. And this is something we may see if this gets worse, then there may be more information from DHEC that's available to us. But right now, they're keeping things close to their chests, and you know, they're giving us the numbers when they can. Some of the numbers we're actually getting on social media, and we're confirming that. And Neil's making those calls, like I said, on the hour. But I still think we're in great shape. I know if you look at the state of South Carolina and you look at the cases within the state, I think we're number 2 right now, unless that's changed within the hour. But the cases are still low, and I think that you know, I think you'll see that number increasing once there are more tests performed and confirmed. Of course, we're in hopes that that's not the case, but again, it goes back to us doing our part. And I know we've stressed to everyone, and we'll continue to stress to everyone the things to do and the things that we're asking to do. Some of them may be a little inconvenient, or you may not think it's, you know, really that important, but the importance level is there and is stressed nationwide. So, Ashley, you have something else? Any other questions?
Could you maybe explain to people what OPCON 2 means?
I'll let Neil do that. That's been a debate here for the past couple of days. I didn't know the general public knew what, or even thought about what OPCONs were. But Neil, you want to tell them what OPCON 2 is?
The 46 counties in the state of South Carolina work on an OPCON level that is an internal preparedness grading system. All it does, it tells us as the first responders certain checklists to comply with, certain steps we need to take in preparation for whatever the event might be, and that's all it is. It has absolutely no effect on the general public, no effect on transportation or anything else. It is simply an internal checklist.
To put the downgrade from OPCON 1 to OPCON 2, was there a reason for that, or?
Just to be more appropriately aligned with the checklist and the steps that we had to take.
I actually have a question for Dr. Rodriguez about.
And to follow up on the OPCON, we wanted to make sure that our municipalities and the county were all on that same level, and we had a conference call and we all agreed that OPCON 2 was appropriate, and we would all go to OPCON 2, and that way we'd be on the same page.
Do we have any idea, once the governor's mandate that schools be closed, do we have any idea if we will remain closed or will we reopen? Is it just going to be case by case?
Not at this time. What I can tell you is we're waiting, obviously, to see what that order is going to be after March 31st. But additionally, know that we would follow recommendations from not only the governor's office and the South Carolina Department of Education, but also DHEC. Yep. Thank you.
You know, one of the things that Neil talked about, and I just wanted to say again, because Chris Chapman, the chief in Bluffton, asked me to say this again, is a lot of the calls for service, when you call 911 or you're calling for law enforcement, especially on the law enforcement side, if those calls can be handled by phone, then we're going to handle those calls by phone. And you know, that will limit any exposure. So the more we can do on the telephone, we'll do it. I know Bluffton's doing that. We're doing that at the county level, and matter of fact, EMS, Fire and EMS is doing that as well. So it's working quite well. Did you want to talk about the dedicated ambulance?
I can.
Okay.
We have one ambulance that we're going to replace, take out of service because we have 2 new ones. But what we decided to do is to keep that as an ambulance for possible coronavirus patients. And what we've decided on finally, after doing all, we put everything on the inside, everything goes on the outside cabin, so there's no decontamination of anything. It's got all the PPE that we could possibly ask for. But what we ended up deciding was we're going to use that if DHEC calls me, and they have did this in the past, calls me and tells me they definitely have a patient who is definitely positive and needs that special truck that they can wait for. Otherwise, the citizens of Beaufort County, when we get that 911 call, whether it's a positive screen or not, we're gonna go ahead and go. So they will be, every ambulance has the complete PPE gear to go into, so when they're waiting on the screening, if they don't get anything, they'll go as is. But this way, somebody won't be waiting way out in St. Helena or out in Bluffton or something for an ambulance that comes from Beaufort. But we're prepared for anything. We're prepared for the very, very sick patient, and we're prepared for just regular patients, but everybody will be treated in as timely a manner as we can, safely for us, safely for you. Anything else?
Thank you. Chief Klein, is there anything that we didn't cover we need to?
We got it.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you all so much for coming. We appreciate it.